The upcoming 2 weeks of The Bold and the Beautiful, spanning from August 17th to August 28th, promise to deliver a masterclass in emotional devastation, corporate maneuvering, and scandalous betrayals. As the dust attempts to settle from the chaotic events on the French Riviera, the fallout is only just beginning to wash ashore in Los Angeles. The Forrester, Spencer, and Logan families are about to be rocked to their very foundations, with secret pacts, sudden returns, and fierce maternal instincts colliding in a spectacular fashion. The drama is palpable, the stakes have never been higher, and the impending shockwaves threaten to permanently alter the landscape of our favorite daytime television drama. We must begin with the explosive aftermath of the Monaco disaster. Rich Forrester is a man pushed to his absolute breaking point. The protective patriarch is completely consumed by a blinding, paternal fury directed squarely at John Finnegan. Rich's anger is not merely a fleeting emotion, it is a deep-seated, volcanic rage fueled by decades of trauma inflicted by Sheila Carter. For Rich, Finn's inability to completely eradicate Sheila from their lives is not just a lapse in judgment, it is a catastrophic failure to protect Steffy Forrester Finnegan. Ridge will unleash a torrent of outrage upon his son-in-law, making it abundantly clear that Finn's divided loyalties have placed Steffy in mortal danger once again. The tension between the two men is suffocating, with Ridge refusing to offer even an ounce of understanding or forgiveness for the chaos that unfolded on the Mediterranean coast. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away from the glamorous disaster of Monaco, a much darker and more intimate tragedy is unfolding within the opulent walls of Forrester Creations. Steffy, having fled Europe in a state of absolute heartbreak and intoxication, finds herself seeking refuge in the familiar, shadowed executive office. She is shattered, traumatized by the sight of Sheila and utterly betrayed by Finn's momentary defense of his biological mother. Enter Carter Walton, a man equally broken and drowning in his own profound sorrow. Daphne Rose Walton's sudden departure for Paris, driven by the devastating psychological toll of her severe infertility diagnosis, has left Carter feeling abandoned and hollow. Two bleeding souls, both heavily intoxicated and desperately seeking an escape from their agonizing realities, find themselves alone in the dimly lit office. The shared grief and the numbing effects of the alcohol create a highly volatile and intoxicating atmosphere. What begins as a mutual offering of comfort, a shoulder to cry on for two dear friends, rapidly blurs into dangerous territory. The emotional barriers crumble, giving way to raw, unadulterated vulnerability. In a moment of sheer desperation and clouded judgment, Steffy and Carter cross the ultimate line. They shed their inhibitions, their clothes, and their marital vows, tumbling into a passionate, steamy encounter that will undoubtedly change the trajectory of their lives forever. It is a scandalous affair born not of malice, but of profound, overwhelming pain, setting the stage for a ticking time bomb of a secret that could destroy two marriages in a single heartbeat. As the harsh light of morning pierces through the office windows, the intoxicating haze of the previous night evaporates, leaving behind a suffocating wave of guilt and realization. Steffy and Carter are immediately struck by the sheer magnitude of their betrayal. The gravity of what they have done crashes down upon them, forcing them into a panicked, desperate scramble to cover their tracks. Recognizing that their respective spouses will inevitably return to fight for their marriages, Steffy and Carter forge an ironclad pact of secrecy. They solemnly vow to take the memory of their passionate night to their graves, desperately hoping that burying the truth will be enough to salvage the lives they have built. However, the psychological weight of such a monumental lie will undoubtedly begin to eat away at their consciences. Exhausted, hungover, and burdened by her scandalous secret, Steffy finally returns to the Cliff House. She is immediately met by the sharp, analytical gaze of her mother, Taylor Hayes. Taylor's maternal intuition is on high alert, sensing a profound shift in her daughter's demeanor. Taylor gently but persistently interrogates Steffy about the events in Monaco and her sudden, frantic return to Los Angeles. Steffy is forced to navigate a treacherous emotional minefield, carefully revealing just enough information about the Sheila confrontation to satisfy Taylor's concerns, while desperately concealing the damning truth of her night with Carter. The strain of lying to her mother, a world-renowned psychiatrist, pushes Steffy's anxiety to its absolute limits. The emotional roller coaster reaches a dizzying peak when Finn finally arrives at the Cliff House, having desperately rushed back to Los Angeles to save his fractured family. Finn is a man possessed by regret and terror. He drops to his knees, metaphorically and perhaps literally, pleading with Steffy for her forgiveness. He delivers an impassioned, desperate speech, swearing absolute loyalty to his wife and promising to eradicate Sheila Carter from their lives permanently. Finn assures Steffy that he finally understands the true depth of Sheila's depravity and vows that she will never cast a shadow over their family again. He is begging for a second chance, offering Steffy the unwavering devotion she has always demanded. In a twist of profound, tragic irony, Steffy finds herself struggling to believe Finn's promises, yet she is simultaneously overwhelmed by a perverse sense of relief. Under normal circumstances, Finn's lapse in judgment regarding Sheila would be grounds for a lengthy separation, if not a divorce. However, Steffy is harboring a sin of equal, if not greater, magnitude. The crushing guilt of her affair with Carter forces her hand. In order to protect her own devastating secret, Steffy is surprisingly willing to overlook the mess in Monaco. She cautiously accepts Finn's apologies, using his desperation to mask her own betrayal. It is a fragile, toxic reconciliation built entirely on a foundation of lies, secrets, and unspoken transgressions. Across town, Carter's world is turned upside down once again when Daphne Rose Walton makes a stunning, unexpected return from Paris. The time away has allowed Daphne to process her grief and realize that running away from the man she loves is not the answer to her infertility trauma. She arrives ready to fight for their marriage, determined to give their relationship a real, fighting chance despite the hurdles they face. Carter is completely blindsided by her return. As he pulls his wife into a tight embrace, the overwhelming relief is immediately overshadowed by the sickening, paralyzing guilt of his infidelity with Steffy. He is forced to look into Daphne's hopeful eyes, knowing that he has committed the ultimate betrayal during her darkest hour. Carter and Daphne engage in a series of deeply emotional, crucial discussions about their future. They navigate the painful reality of their fertility struggles, slowly finding a path forward together. Carter is desperate to make amends for a sin Daphne doesn't even know he committed, overcompensating with affection and reassurance. However, he remains steadfast in his pact with Steffy, locking the secret of their steamy encounter deep within his soul. Interestingly, Daphne will find an unexpected confidant in Ridge Forrester. She will turn to the Forrester patriarch for guidance and support, adding a fascinating layer of complexity to the dynamic, especially considering Ridge's fierce protectiveness over Steffy and his impending fury if the truth about Carter and his daughter ever comes to light. Meanwhile, the corporate machinations at Forrester Creations continue to churn with relentless intensity. R.J. Forrester is determined to make his mark and fill the creative void left by the recent corporate shakeups. He approaches Zend Forrester Dominguez with a bold, innovative proposal. R.J. pitches the concept of a vibrant, edgy youth demographic line, specifically pushing for Electra Forrester to be the face and lead visionary of the brand. R.J. recognizes Electra's raw talent and sees this as the perfect opportunity to elevate her status within the company, while simultaneously cementing their growing romantic and professional partnership. Zend, still reeling from the hope for the future debacle, must carefully weigh the merits of R.J.'s ambitious pitch. The tension within the Forrester offices reaches a boiling point when Electra orchestrates a massive, hostile confrontation with Melissa Dillon. Electra is absolutely furious about Dillon's calculated, opportunistic pursuit of her ex-boyfriend, Will Spencer. Wielding her Forrester last name like a weapon, Electra attempts to assert absolute dominance over her former friend. She issues a ruthless, uncompromising ultimatum. Dylan must stay far away from Will, or Elektra will personally ensure she is fired from Forrester Creations. It is a harsh display of power and possessiveness, highlighting Elektra's refusal to let go of Will despite having ended their relationship. However, Dylan is no longer the timid assistant she once was. She is defiant, fully aware that Elektra does not possess the executive authority to terminate her employment. The personal and professional rivalries spectacularly collide in the neon-lit, pulsating atmosphere of the Bikini Bar. In a twist of agonizing fate, Will and Dylan are enjoying a drink together, only to be interrupted by the sudden arrival of Elektra and RJ. The universe seemingly forces the four intertwined individuals into the most awkward, tension-filled double date imaginable. The air crackles with unspoken jealousy, lingering resentments, and intense scrutiny. Every glance is loaded, every word laced with double meanings. Elektra is forced to watch Will move on, while Will must endure the sight of Elektra happily cozying up to the man he despises. Rather than deterring them, the agonizingly awkward encounter at the Bikini Bar only serves to solidify Will and Dylan's connection. The blatant display of Elektra and RJ's budding romance pushes Will further into Dylan's waiting arms. Determined to fully commit to this new chapter and leave the toxic Forrester drama behind, Will and Dylan decide to turn up the heat. They leave the suffocating tension of the bar and retreat to the privacy of the beach house, where they finally surrender to the simmering physical attraction between them. They hit the sheets in a passionate, steamy encounter, fully capitalizing on their strong bond and cementing their status as a formidable new couple, much to the inevitable fury of their detractors. As the calendar turns to the week of August 24th to August 28th, the canvas prepares for a monumental debut. The highly anticipated arrival of daytime television veteran Kelly Sullivan as Darcy Dillon, Melissa's mother, is set for August 27th. Darcy's entrance into Los Angeles is guaranteed to be nothing short of spectacular. She is a fiercely protective, formidable woman who immediately recognizes the treacherous waters her daughter is navigating. The reunion between mother and daughter is deeply emotional, providing crucial insight into Dylan's background and the driving forces behind her ambitious, sometimes ruthless behavior. Darcy is not one to mince words, and she quickly begins assessing the threats surrounding her child. It does not take long for Darcy Dillon to find herself on a direct, explosive collision course with Katie Logan Spencer. Katie has been conducting a fierce, relentless investigation into Melissa's past, deeply suspicious of the young woman's motives regarding the Spencer family fortune and her potential connections to past tragedies. When Katie's hostility towards Dylan becomes apparent, Darcy's maternal instincts roar to life. The clash between these two powerful, fiercely protective mothers promises to be legendary. Katie's disdain for Dylan is met with Darcy's unyielding defense of her daughter. However, the dynamic is far from simple. Darcy herself may harbor deep reservations about the choices Dylan is making, particularly her entanglement in the messy, high-stakes war between the Spencers and the Forresters. As the month draws to a close, the suffocating weight of guilt continues to torment Steffy and Carter. The daily reality of interacting with their spouses, Finn and Daphne, while harboring the dark secret of their passionate affair, proves to be a psychological nightmare. Every loving glance from Finn, every hopeful smile from Daphne, feels like a dagger to their consciences. The temptation to confess, to alleviate the crushing pressure of the lie, is a constant, agonizing battle. They find themselves exchanging loaded, panicked glances across the Forrester Creations boardroom, terrified that their secret is written plainly on their faces. Despite the overwhelming temptation to crumble under the pressure, Steffy and Carter ultimately double down on their vow of silence. They recognize that confessing would not bring absolution, it would only bring absolute destruction. It would shatter Finn, devastate Daphne, and ignite a scandal that could ruin Forrester Creations. They are bound together by their shared sin, forced to carry the heavy, agonizing burden of their steamy encounter in the shadows. But in the world of the bold and the beautiful, Secrets of this magnitude are like ticking time bombs, and it is only a matter of time before the truth detonates, leaving a trail of shattered lives and broken hearts in its wake. The drama is relentless, the passions are ignited, and the consequences will be absolutely unforgettable. Stay tuned, because you will not want to miss a single second of the explosive action.